Students learn about perimeter and area long before high school, but they may have forgotten, so I wanted to have a lesson here to review it. Plus, I have at least one problem in here that is going to be at the high school level. Might be a little tricky. Let's see what happens. First off, perimeter is the distance around. So if I wanted to put a fence around that triangle, how much fencing would I need to buy? That doesn't even make sense because I'm talking about inches. Who puts up a fence with inches? So 9 plus 7 plus 9, I am going to need 25 inches of fencing for my ladybug, I guess. Okay, area. The formula for area is 1/2 base times height. You do have to remember the area formula. Area is the stuff inside, meaning like if you were going to carpet it, how much carpet would I have to buy? Because I'm spoiling my ladybug. 1/2, I know what that is. The base is 9 inches, and the height is not the 9 inches or the 7 inches of the side, but the height is always going to be this length that goes from a vertex down to make a 90-degree angle on the other side. That's your height. Do the math. 28.8 inches squared. Inches squared is a term for square inches. It is not a mathematical operation. When you're saying square inches, you're talking about area. When you're saying just inches, that's a linear measurement, which means just lines going all the way around. All right, let's do it again. The perimeter of this one will be adding up all of the sides, these three right here, and we end up with 31.6 meters. Now the area, this one I included here because if the triangle is tipped upside down or on its side like this one, you might have a hard time recognizing that this is the base. But this 8 meters is the height. See, it's making a perpendicular with this side right here. That means this side is the base. So 1/2 base times height is going to work out to be 45.2 meters squared. You may have done something like this before, but you probably will do this in high school. Find the missing measurement. In this problem, they're telling you what the answer is. They've already calculated the area, they're giving you a side length, and they're giving you a height. And they want you to find this piece down here. Well, that's the base of the triangle. So let's bring in our formula here. Area equals 1/2 base times height, and let's substitute in numbers for things that we know. We are not going to use this. This is the slanty side. We don't want that. We want the base, which we know is the thing we're looking for, and we want the height, which we know is this 8. The 32.8 goes in for area because that's what they said it was. So you should have everything in here except for the base. That's our x. Let's take 1/2 times 8, and we get 4. Now divide both sides by 4. I got really lazy and wasn't writing units, which is bad. Bad teacher. Don't blame me if you don't do that and get in trouble. Not my fault. All right, here we are talking about something that I have seen in high school geometry. Find the perimeter of a triangle formed by these points. You have to graph the points first. I know I'm going to be doing A here is 1 and 3. I know the 1 is right here. The 3 is here. I need a 7 on the Y as well for when I get up to there, so I might as well put it right there, just highlighting it to draw attention to it. Okay, A is 1, 3. Go over 1, up 3 for the Y, and there's your A point. Your B point is 8, 3. So I go over to where x equals 8, and then I go up to where y equals 3, and I put a point there too. And then C is 4, 7. So I'm going to go over to the 4, and then up to the 7. Now let's draw the triangle. That's the height of the triangle. It makes a perpendicular. With this one, it goes straight down. And this is the base of that. We have to find the perimeter, which means we need to know the side lengths. Well, this one from A to B is probably going to be the easiest one to get because we're moving from 1 to 8. And if you go from 1 to 8, you moved 7 steps. So this length is 7. Okay, now the slanty bits. Well, to get at these, we're going to need to use Pythagorean theorem. And that's why I put this in here, because I need to have 2 right triangles. You're allowed to draw that line. these are right triangles. So this will be our x and this will be y because I need to talk about them. If I count boxes here, I am going from 7 to 3, or if I'm going from 3 up to 7, that's 4 steps. So this is 4 long. And to go from 1 to 4 on the bottom, 1 to 4, meaning this piece right here, that's 3 boxes. To go from 4 up to 8, that's 4 steps. Now we can set up and try to solve for x, because we have this right triangle right here, and it has a leg of 3 and a leg of 4, and the x is the hypotenuse. So remember, Pythagorean theorem, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So x squared equals 3 squared plus 4 squared. I know some of you know the answer already. This is a pretty famous Pythagorean triple. But if you have to do the work, that's what it's going to look like. We end up with x squared equal to 25. So x equals 5. Remember in geometry, we just use the positive square root. All right, I know that. Yay! So I've got 2 sides of the blue triangle. I need the third side, which is y. So y squared equals 4 squared plus 4 squared. Y squared equals 16 plus 16. Y squared equals 32. 32 is not a perfect square, so you have to simplify this. I'm breaking it down. I could have broken it down differently, but since I did 16 plus 16, I already knew that 16 times 2 was going to be a good one to go with. Now you take these 2 square roots and you break them up. We get the square root of 16 times the square root of 2, and that turns out to be 4 times the square root of 2, because the square root of 16 equals the 4. So we know that this side isn't y anymore. It is now 4 times the square root of 2. This is what makes it a high school problem right here. All right, now to get the actual perimeter, we have to add up all 3 sides. So 5 plus 7 plus 4 times the square root of 2. We can add the 5 and the 7 together because those are integers. But this 4 is being multiplied times the square root of 2. You can't add that with the 12. You can't do that. I could factor this a little bit, but for right now, this is good enough. That's the answer. That is the perimeter. Usually this is going to be a 2-part question. It'll say find the perimeter and area. So here's your area formula. Start with that always. Do you know everything you need to know? Well, 1/2 is 1/2. Well, the base is 7 and the height is 4. So much easier. 1/2 times 7 times 4. So half of 4 is 2, so we end up with 2 times 7, and here we end up with 14. I don't have units on this one, so there we go. The next lesson actually isn't a lesson. It's the test for this whole unit. After that, we are starting with congruent triangles. Yay! It's my favorite thing to teach, and usually it's the student's least favorite thing to learn, but trust me, it's really not that bad. I figured out how to teach it. I will see you over there. Bye!